What's up, everybody? Welcome back to racingdudes.com. Welcome back to our Kentucky Derby horse profiles. We'll go horse by horse here, leading up to the 2026 Kentucky Derby and kind of talk about some of all the main contenders. All right, let's get to Renegade here on this video. Put Renegade up on the screen for you now. This is a horse coming in off of two nice wins in a row here to start off 2026. 2 starts, 2 wins there. Overall, 5 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds, and 1 third for a Renegade. All right, let's go down here. Let's look at the results. Let's kind of go through what happened. Debut at Saratoga here, finishing third in that race. Again, a sprint race doesn't mean anything whatsoever as far as what we're going to be talking about towards the Kentucky Derby. Just one of those things. He was beaten very, very badly by a sprinter that day. Second race of the career. He actually crossed the line first, but was disqualified and placed second. This was a race where him and Paladin, horse that used to be the Kentucky Derby favorite, him and Paladin were in the race. Renegade actually crossed the line just ahead of Paladin, but it was a alleged interference on Renegade. He was placed second, and a second, Paladin, the winner. Even though he was a maiden, he did go to the Rims and Stakes next, where he finished second too. Guess who? Paladin. Paladin beat him again there in the Rims and Stakes, with Renegade coming in second. Before the race, Todd Pletcher said, I think he's a work or two short. He did miss a couple works, but we still think he is good to go and ready for the Rims and Stakes. And after the race, he said, he was a little short, and I think that's why the margin of victory was what it was. 2-year-old season. Even though he didn't technically win a race, still a very good resume. 3-year-old season, he has gotten better. The Sam F. Davis was a crushing effort there at Tampa Bay Downs, where he technically breaks his maiden on that day. He beats Wayne's Law and the Puma. Of course, the Puma had a little bit of traffic trouble there in the Sam F. Davis, so a little bit of excuse for the Puma, but still, Renegade beats him pretty easy. The Puma comes back to win the Tampa Bay Derby and darn near won the Florida Derby as well. Ships up to Arkansas next for the Arkansas Derby, and it was a tour de force. Dropping back towards the back of the pack, last for a lot of the race. He just zoomed by him without any problem whatsoever to win the Arkansas Derby. So 2 really, really good efforts this year. You look at the breeding of this horse by Into Mischief out of a Curlin mare. Love it. I really think 1.25 miles is going to be great. I think 1.5 miles could be great for this horse as well. Won't have to worry about that, though. He'll never run that distance because the Belmont, not 1.5 miles this year up at Saratoga. But still, I think the distance will be perfect for this horse. I have no worries whatsoever there. When you kind of look at running style, I think that's where you are going to have some anxious moments. A horse has dropped towards the back of the pack in the last couple of races. He early in his career, he showed a little bit better positioning in his races. And I wonder maybe if he can do that in the Kentucky Derby. I really don't want him to have to pass 18, 19 horses in that race. I'd love for him not to be at the very back. Don't take him out of his element, but maybe just put him in 12th. That would be okay as well. And of course, getting a decent trip, obviously going to be a big thing as well with Renegade. But, again, I do think that is going to be stressful. We look at the running style, dropping towards the back of the pack. That's going to be, something that, will be stressful. You're going to have a little bit of luck. There's no question about that. One thing I'll say with horses that are closing from the back, it is very important in the Kentucky Derby that you're able to pass horses on the turn and then still have the stamina left to make a run down the lane. This horse has passed horses pretty easily on the turn in his last 2 races. I love that about him. I also love when he was hitting the wire in the Arkansas Derby, it felt like he was just getting going. He really felt like a horse that was accelerating. So, look, I don't love the running style, but I do think he's a horse that can handle it. And if he can just get that, trip and kind of pass horses on the turn, like I was mentioning the last 2 races, I think he'll be okay. As far as the negatives go, I think there's not a ton of them. I know, Todd Pletcher's history in the Kentucky Derby is a thing people talk about. He does have 2 wins in the race, but he's had a lot of starters in the race. So percentage-wise, not very good. I'm not overly worried about that one, to be honest. He gets Irad aboard. I think that's a good sign. He keeps his jockey. So he is the horse that Irad chose to ride. So running style, I think that's the biggest one. And what if the pace doesn't develop? What if he gets traffic trouble? That's the big thing and the big worry when it comes to Renegade. All right, final verdict on Renegade for me. As of right now, he is my pick to win the Kentucky Derby. I really want to stress, though, this year, I'm kind of flip-flopping back and forth. Last year at this time, journalism was the pick. I was wrong, but he was the pick. I wasn't really going to change. This year, I have been flip-flopping back and forth a little bit, but as of right now, I'm pretty locked in on Renegade here. I think as long as he kind of shows a nice workout and everything seems to be fine, he gets a good post, he's probably going to be my pick, but I'm not going to totally stand by that yet. I will stand by it the week of the Derby after they draw. You come back to racingdudes.com and I'll give you the video of my top 4 for the race. All right, guys, that'll do it for this video. Hit that like button if you like it. Subscribe. You really like it. Want to get alert anytime we do videos like this. And most importantly, stay tuned to the channel for more Kentucky Derby news.